Could Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra have a blockbuster trade up their sleeve, as we are just under 10 days away from the 2024 NBA draft? A report came out from an NBA insider that kind of suggested that the Heat could be eyeing a trade into the top 5 of the NBA draft. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. Happy Monday, and we're going to break down everything in just a second. But our Chicago Bulls host, who is an absolute fraud, said that the Heat report sucks. And I just couldn't take that slander to start off the week. So like the video. Let's get 150 likes on this show to prove him wrong. The Bulls stink. They're living in the past. The Heat have been the better franchise since 2000. That's no debate. So let's prove the Bulls wrong and hit that like button. Could the Miami Heat trade into the top 5 of the NBA draft? It would be quite the stunner, and recent history would suggest Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra would be reluctant to do so, but it would be quite the development for the Miami Heat. I think the prospects at the top of this class, sure, they don't have the star power, but I believe they are very good players that can carve out long NBA careers. And the Heat, likely to lose Caleb Martin and Haywood and Highsmith in free agency, could get a high-level rotation player in day one if they did trade up into the top 5. The question is, who would it be with? The report, though, did come from Sam Amico of Hoops Hype, who reported earlier today that one league source told Hoops Wire, not Hoops Hype, last week that he envisions the Lakers and Heat making a strong play for a top 5 pick. Also, the Memphis Grizzlies hold the number 9 pick and could be among those exploring the idea of moving down. They've also been reported to potentially be a team that wants to move up as well. He finished out by saying some feel that in this draft there won't be much of a difference in upside between, say, the number 9 and number 20 selections. And even though I think it could be a fun idea, it could be a good idea for the Miami Heat, I just don't see Pat Riley making a move to get into the top 5. Like, is he going to trade away one of his top assets to move into the top 5 when there's no surefire all-star type of player? I've been on record, and I will continue to say that I think there is good talent in this draft. I think this is a better draft than people try to make it out to be. But if you're going to move Hero or Duncan Robinson or a player like that to try to get into the top 5 of an NBA draft, I would be willing to do that if there's star players and star potential. But I do think it's important to refresh you. If they did trade in the top 5, who would it be for? Well, Atlanta Hawks at number 1, Wizards number 2, Rockets 3, Spurs 4, and 5 is where the Pistons, that's where the top 5 are. So if I had to single out 2 teams that I think the Heat would be potentially talking to move into the top 5, if this report is accurate, it would be the San Antonio Spurs and Houston Rockets, teams that have a luxury here in terms of their selections. The Spurs pick at 4 and 8, so if they wanted to acquire a veteran-type player, maybe they are okay dealing 4 because they already have the 8th pick where they can take a young guy. Houston is looking to add more win-now pieces as well and could dangle that 3rd overall pick out there. So these 2 are the teams that if the Heat did want to trade up would be the teams I think Miami would be making a deal with. I'll have a trade idea for each of these teams, but let me know. Voice your opinion for me down in the comment section. Do you believe that the Heat want to trade up? Type B for believe, type D for don't. Gotta be honest, I think I'm typing my D's, but get your votes down below. All right, let's talk about what a Spurs trade would be for that 4th overall pick, and this is kind of what I think it would be. I think Zach Collins could be coming to Miami alongside the 4th overall pick in exchange for Tyler Hero and the 15th overall pick. When you think of what Zach Collins could bring to the table alongside the 4th overall pick, I'm pretty high on Collins as a potential backup center. He has been very solid in his career. He was a lottery pick back in his day out of Gonzaga. Never really lived up to the hype, but is a decent rotation guy. He could never stay on the court, though, for the Portland Trail Blazers throughout his career. Only played in about 42 to 50 games this last season for the Spurs, but he did put up good numbers. He initially started alongside Victor Wembanyama, but then they realized Wemby was best used as a 5, not a 4. They put Collins to the bench, and that would be his role, right? In this potential deal, you move up 11 spots in the draft, you get a top 5 selection, you swap out Hero for a backup center, you cut $12 million on the cap, so which maybe could allow you to retain Caleb Martin now because you saved $12 million by acquiring Zach Collins and cutting Tyler Hero. But you also move up 11 spots in the draft. It's an intriguing idea for sure. Kind of the same trade if you're doing it with the Rockets, if you're asking me. I think they could be a team interested in Tyler Hero. They need shooting. They want to add more scoring from the backcourt. Now, I will say I don't think Jalen Green and Hero make a lot of sense, but maybe this is a type of framework where the Heat send Hero in 15 once again to get a backup center in the 3rd overall pick. Steven Adams also making about the same money as Collins, by the way, so you would cut $14 million in cap space. Adams, though, did not play all of last season. He missed the entire year. It never even put on the Rockets uniform once. He was dealt after being out for the year prior with the Grizzlies, was traded at the deadline, 1 year left on his deal, which could make it more interesting for Miami to do this trade, right? Because you get an expiring contract as well as someone who could come back from injury and be an enforcer off the bench and be a strong backup center to Bam Adebayo. A couple trade ideas that I had in mind that I could see happening if it was the Heat trading up to into the top 5. We're going to talk about what prospects that could intrigue the Heat to trade up into the top 5. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Videos every single day. Yes, you heard that correctly. Live shows as well. We're on the road to 12,000 subscribers. Hit that sub button. We'll have you covered on everything. The question is, though, if this report was accurate by Sam Amico, the Heat did want to move up into the top 5. Who could they possibly be eyeing that they know they need to move up into the top 5 to get that they can't sit there and take it 15? I have 8 prospects here that would probably require a trade up into the top 5. And obviously, simple math says, not all 8 of these guys can go into the top 5. But I do believe most of these do have top 5 potential. Alex Sarr could be the number 1 overall pick. Nikola Topic is my number 2 overall guy in the entire class, but he could slide to 10, but maybe the Heat want to guarantee taking Topic. Matas Buzelis, Stephon Castle are intriguing names that we'll dive more in depth here in a second. But then also Reed Sheppard, Dalton Knecht, and Donovan Clingan are right on that fringe 5 to 8 range in this draft. Could the Heat want to take the versatile guard, a wing shooter, a center to pair up with Bam and create the best defensive front court in the NBA potentially? And the last one I wanted to put on this list is Ron Holland, because no one knows where he's going to go. Some draft guys think he could be the top 3 player in this class. Some people might say he falls out of the lottery and that he could take him at 15. They had him in for a private workout. If they really liked Ron Holland during that workout, maybe they don't want to risk losing him and they want to get up into the top 5 to ensure they take the wing of the G League Ignite. We've talked about Ron Holland in the past, though. I want to focus in on 2 guys here. Matas Buzelis, also a forward from the G League Ignite, and Stephon Castle, the guard from UConn. I think these 2 could be really good fits for Miami, and there has been no reports of them being interested in these guys or if they wanted to work them out on a private workout in Miami, right? There's been no reports of that. But these 2 guys, I think, would fit the scheme and system of the Heat very, very well. Matas Buzelis is actually my 3rd guy on my entire big board. My top 3, Alex Sarr, Nikola Topic 2, Buzelis 3, in terms of broad spectrum, not just for Miami. Why? Buzelis flashes the elite defensive abilities that you'd want in a 4. He can handle the ball a little bit. Sure, it needs to get better, but he is as good as a defensive player as you'll find. He's lengthy. He's super athletic. He finishes at the rim with an explosive jumping and leaping ability. I am a massive fan of Buzelis, and if you get him developing into this Heat culture, Heat system, Heat shooting staff, which is just terrific, you can see a stretch 4 that can be one of the best 2-way players in the entire NBA paired up with Bam Adebayo. But Stephon Castle is also very intriguing because he was a 5-star point guard in high school. Went to UConn, played the 2 and 3 off-ball 95% of the time, and was one of the best glue guys in the entire collegiate scene last year and helped UConn win another national championship. Now, it was reported that Castle wants to be a true point guard in the NBA. Well, good news for Miami, and Stephon Castle, they do need a true point guard because even though Rozier's good, he's more of a scoring guy, not really a facilitator. Castle's also really good defensively, gets in his stance, physical, point of attack guy that could be a two-way 6'5", 6'6" point guard that Miami has really been looking for to help be a connecting piece in that backcourt with Tyler Hero, Jimmy, and Bam. That's another intriguing option for the Heat. And honestly, even though Castle thinks he's a point guard, and he probably is a guard, he has been comped to Jimmy Butler in the past. So Stephon Castle could absolutely be a fit for the Heat and someone they're eyeing inside the top 5. I just want to bring back to these two, Matas Buzelis and Stephon Castle, the two prospects we talked about more in depth to see if the Heat could trade up for one of the two guys. After hearing my sales pitch on both, which prospect would you want the Heat to draft if they did trade up into the top 5? Type MB for Matas Buzelis or SC for Stephon Castle. All right, to close today's show, almost like a summary of where I stand on this situation. I love the trade up into the top 5, but I want to make this abundantly clear. I would only do that with the assumption that Jimmy, Bam, Jovic, and Jaquez Jr. are still on the roster. Like, I am not trading one of those guys to get into the top 5. I just simply am not. If it only takes one of those deals I talked about where it's Hero 15 and you get a backup center, you save some money, and you get a top 5 pick, yeah, I'm all in on that. Even if you wanted to include Rozier instead of Hero, and Hero was the guard you kept, and Terry was the one you dealt, I'd be fine with that as well. But I'm not moving off any of the young guys. I'm not trading Bam under any circumstance. And Jimmy Butler, I know you're going to see that report, and people are going to say, well, Houston, number 3, Jimmy, could you get 3 and another young guy from Houston for Butler? I'm probably not doing that either because I still want Jimmy and Bam to win here in Miami, at least give them a chance in the next 2 to 3 seasons. So I'd be okay jumping up into the top 5, but those 4 guys we just mentioned have to be on the roster for the next season. All right, make sure you do follow me over on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff. I'm talking about the Heat on a daily basis and more over on the Bird app. And you would have actually saw my reaction to this report on Twitter prior to this video. So if you want more on the Miami Heat, follow me at Nic_Rohloff.